It's just this universal feeling of dread in the modern business world.
Oh, yeah, totally.
You spend weeks like crafting the absolute perfect digital campaign, you launch it, and the response is immediate.
Right. The numbers just spike.
Exactly. The likes are rolling in, the comments are fire, the engagement graphs are pointing straight up and to the right.
Everyone is thrilled.
Yeah, your marketing team is high-fiving in the Slack channel. And then, you sit down in the quarterly leadership meeting.
And we all know exactly where this is going.
Someone from finance leans across the table, looks at those beautiful charts, and asks one simple, just agonizing question. Is this actually generating revenue?
And suddenly all those likes and shares just feel, incredibly lightweight.
Because the room just goes entirely quiet.
It really is a terrifying moment for any team, regardless of the size of the company.
Right, because you can show them a bar chart of impressions all day long, but you cannot point to a dollar bill. And that is exactly what we are getting into today. We've got a stack of research and frameworks in front of us, specifically excerpts from the guide, Measuring the Real ROI of Social Media Marketing.
Which is such a crucial read right now.
It really is. And our mission for this deep dive is to rescue you from the trap of those vanity metrics and uncover the actual structured tracking systems you need to connect your marketing activity to tangible, real-world business outcomes.
Because you really need those systems.
You absolutely do. Okay, let's unpack this because to me, this feels like the ultimate detective story.
Oh, I like that.
Right. The crime scene is your digital presence, and the missing person is the true source of your company's revenue.
I love that framing. Because without these structured tracking systems in place, businesses are essentially flying blind.
Yeah, completely blind.
You are making massive strategic decisions based on totally incomplete information. And the real danger here is that when you lack the data linking a specific action to a specific revenue dollar.
I just end up guessing.
Right, you end up optimizing your efforts for mere visibility rather than actual profitability. You start, chasing the spotlight instead of the sale.
Which brings us to the core of the problem. Before we can track the money, we really have to understand why it gets so easily lost in the first place.
And it gets lost so easily.
It really does. The fundamental flaw in how most of us think about a customer's journey is that we want it to be simple. We want it to be a straight line.
Right, the old see ad, click ad, buy product myth.
Exactly. Somebody sees an ad, they click it, they buy the product. But think about how this actually plays out in the wild. It never works like that.
No, it is rarely, if ever, a single step. The reality of the modern customer journey is highly fractured, and it usually spans multiple devices over a prolonged period of time.
Yeah, it's messy.
Super messy. Let's walk through a very common scenario from the text. Imagine a person who discovers your brand for the very first time through a short video on their phone while they're commuting.
Okay, so they're on the train, scrolling.
Exactly. They watch it, they are intrigued. Sometime later, maybe hours or even days, they remember the brand, they find your profile, and they click the link in your bio.
Okay, so they are on the website now, but they're still on their phone. Maybe they're, in line for coffee.
Right, they're distracted. So they don't buy. They browse for a minute, they get a text message, or the barista calls their name, and they close the browser.
They just leave?
Yeah, they bounce. Then, several days pass. They finally decide they actually need your product. But this time, they're sitting at their work laptop.
Totally different device.
Exactly. They go to a search engine, type in your company name, click the organic search result, and make the purchase.
And there is the disconnect. It's like looking at the final score of a soccer game, but having absolutely no idea who passed the ball, who assisted the play, or how the entire offensive drive was even set up.
That's exactly what it's like.
Right. All your tracking software sees is that last search engine click that resulted in the goal. That initial video that sparked the whole thing, the thing you spent thousands of dollars producing, gets zero credit.
Zero. Because this journey spans multiple touch points, different devices, and a significant time gap, the connection between that original social media interaction and the final conversion is entirely lost.
It's just gone.
Yeah. If you are relying on surface-level analytics, you are completely missing the deeper story of how your customers are actually moving through the funnel.
I hear that, but wait a minute. I have to play devil's advocate here and challenge this idea.
Okay, go for it.
We look at massive brands, Apple, Nike, or companies buying Super Bowl spots. They're paying millions of dollars purely for eyeballs.
Sure, yeah.
They aren't tracking direct clicks from a television screen, so you cannot tell me that 1 million views on a TikTok video has zero ROI just because I didn't capture their email address that exact same day. I
Yeah.
mean, doesn't a rising tide lift all boats?
That is a very fair pushback, but we have to distinguish between brand awareness marketing and direct response marketing.
Okay, how so?
Well, yes, for a massive global brand, pure reach has intrinsic value. But for the vast majority of companies trying to justify a marketing budget to a finance team, those are what the guy calls vanity
All
metrics.
right, the likes and the comments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They do provide useful signals. They tell you if people find your content entertaining. But a campaign that generates massive engagement but zero conversions,
Just crickets on the sales side.
yeah, that produces absolutely no meaningful return on investment for a growth stage company.
So you're saying 1 million views that don't eventually convert into paying customers are like practically worthless from a hard ROI standpoint, even if they feel really good for the ego?
Correct. Real ROI is not measured by attention alone. It is measured by the ability to connect activity to outcomes, specifically qualified leads, customer acquisition, and long-term customer value.
The stuff that actually keeps the lights on.
Precisely. If you focus exclusively on vanity metrics, you are just building an audience, not a business. And here is a highly counterintuitive insight from the source material that trips up a lot of teams.
Oh, what's that?
When you finally implement proper tracking, your marketing team's apparent ROI will often look like it drops significantly for the first month or two.
Wait, really? Why would it drop?
Because you are stripping away the fluff. You are no longer counting a viral post with high engagement as a win unless it actually drove revenue.
Oh, wow. That's a painful correction.
It is. Suddenly, campaigns you thought were incredibly successful are exposed as money pits, while quiet, boring campaigns might be revealed as your biggest money makers.
It hurts the ego, but it saves the budget.
Exactly.
Okay, so the customer journey is fractured and the vanity metrics are lying to us. The problem is crystal clear. So how do we start stitching this journey back together?
Well, we have to start at the click.
Right, because if that video deserves the assist, I want the data to prove it.
Let's get into the first real solution here. Capturing the deeper story of a single click.
This is where we introduce UTM tracking.
Okay, UTM tracking.
Yeah, it stands for Urchin Tracking Module,
Yeah.
which is an ancient piece of internet history we don't need to get into, but it is one of the most fundamental and effective ways to measure performance.
Right.
UTM parameters are essentially text tags or labels that you append to the very end of a regular web address.
So instead of just sending someone to, like, yourwebsite.com, the link is yourwebsite.com, followed by a question mark, and then the string of text like upsource Facebook and up medium social.
Exactly. You aren't changing the destination. You are just adding context to the journey.
Got it.
When someone clicks a link that contains these UPM tags, your analytics platforms like Google Analytics read that text and record the precise source of that traffic.
It's essentially a digital luggage tag.
Yeah, wherever that link travels on the internet, the tag stays securely attached to it, telling your analytics exactly which airport, or in this case, which specific social post it flew out of.
That is a perfect analogy. And those digital luggage tags do a tremendous amount of heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Let's look at a practical scenario from the text.
Okay, let's hear it.
Say you are launching a new product, and you are going to share the link to buy it across an Instagram story, a Facebook post, and a LinkedIn update. If you just use the plain naked URL for all three, what happens?
Well, without the tags, all of that traffic hits your website and just appears as a massive, indistinguishable blur. It probably just shows up broadly as direct or social traffic. You have absolutely no idea which specific post actually convinced people to click.
Precisely. But with UTM parameters in place, every click is categorized. The text tags tell your analytics, this person came from the summer campaign, specifically from Facebook, and specifically from the video post.
So every single click can be attributed to its exact campaign and platform.
Yes. What's fascinating here is how this level of detail entirely changes your marketing strategy. This is the very first step in differentiating between channels that just generate noise and channels that actually generate revenue.
Oh, I see where this is going.
You might find that your Instagram stories get the absolute most views and clicks, but it's actually your LinkedIn updates that are driving the most valuable traffic and real conversions. You would never know that without UTMs.
Which is a huge revelation. You might be pouring like 80% of your budget into the platform that gives you likes, while totally starving the platform that gives you actual buys.
Exactly. You're flying blind without them.
Okay, so UTMs solve the problem of tracking a single click. We know exactly where they came from at that exact moment. But earlier, we established that the journey is a multi-step mystery.
Right. It's never just one click.
Right, it involves multiple touch points over several days. What happens when a user clicks an Instagram link on Monday, a Facebook link on Wednesday, and a Google ad on Friday before finally buying? How do we know which interaction actually deserves the credit?
That is the next critical layer of the tracking system, and it is known as marketing attribution.
Marketing attribution.
Yeah. Attribution refers to the rules or the models you use to assign credit to the various touch points that contributed to a conversion. Because, as we noted, it is incredibly rare for a modern digital customer to convert after just a single interaction.
Yeah, they take their time.
They do. They move through stages of awareness, consideration, and decision-making.
So how do most companies handle this? Because if I'm running the marketing team and an email goes out on Tuesday and a massive sale happens on Tuesday afternoon, I mean, it is human nature to look at that sale and assume it came directly from the email.
Oh, of course.
We just give the email 100% of the credit.
And that assumption, which is called last touch attribution, is precisely where businesses misallocate their budgets. By default, many analytics platforms will just give all the credit to the very last thing the customer clicked before buying.
It's like firing your head chef because the waiter is the one who actually physically hands the plate to the customer.
That is hilarious, but so true.
The waiter gets all the credit for the meal, and you assume you don't need the kitchen staff anymore.
Exactly. That is exactly what happens. If you only credit the email, the waiter, you might look at your budget and decide to cut your social media spending.
Because it doesn't look like it's doing anything.
Right. You are completely unaware that social media is the kitchen. It's what's actually filling the top of the funnel, generating the awareness, and getting people onto the email list in the first place.
Okay, that makes total sense. You cut the awareness engine, and suddenly 3 months later, your email conversions dry up and you have no idea why.
And you're left scrambling.
So how do we fix the attribution problem?
Well, you have to move toward multi-touch attribution, or at the very least, establish strict lead source tracking.
Lead source tracking, okay.
Yeah, lead source tracking categorizes exactly where a prospect first enters your funnel. It answers the question, how did we originally acquire this person? Was it a social media platform? A paid advertising campaign? Referral traffic?
So you are preserving the data of that very first interaction, even if they don't buy until 6 months later through a totally different channel.
Yes. Consistently cracking this stops companies from misinterpreting what drives growth. Over time, this insight allows businesses to shift their investments based on reality.
Right.
You stop guessing, and you start actively funneling money toward the strategies that deliver the highest quality prospects from the very beginning of the journey.
It allows you to see the whole board. Okay, so let's take stock of where we are. We've escaped the vanity metrics trap. We are using UTM parameters or digital luggage tags to track every single click.
Yeah.
We're using marketing attribution and lead source tracking to map the entire multi-step journey and give credit to the right platforms, not just the last one.
Exactly.
But there is still one massive missing puzzle piece here. We've tracked the digital behavior on the website, but how do we connect those website clicks to the actual sales team and the final revenue dollars?
This is where the rubber meets the road. Up until this point, we are still mostly dealing with marketing data. To find the real ROI, we have to bridge the gap between marketing and sales.
Which is notoriously difficult.
Very. We have to integrate your social media tracking data with your CRM, your customer relationship management system, like Salesforce or HubSpot.
Now, most of our listeners know exactly what a CRM is and why they need one. It's the central nervous system of a sales team. But the friction point is always the integration.
Always.
Marketing has their data in Google Analytics, sales has their data in Salesforce, and the two systems just refuse to talk to each other. So how do we actually bridge that gap technically? How do those UTM tags we talked about earlier actually get into the CRM?
That is the million-dollar question, and the mechanism behind it is actually quite elegant. When a user clicks a link with the UTM tag, they land on your website. Your website can be set up to temporarily store those text tags in a browser cookie or in the browser's local storage.
Okay, so the website remembers how they got there?
Exactly. Now, let's say that user browses around and eventually decides to fill out a book a demo or contact us form. Here is the magic trick. You build hidden fields into that form.
Hidden fields, like form fields the user can't see?
Precisely. The user just sees the fields for their name, email, and phone number. But behind the scenes, there are invisible fields for UTM source and UTM medium.
Oh, sneaky. I like it.
Right. When the user hits submit, the form automatically pulls those stored tags from the cookie, populates the hidden fields, and silently passes all of that tracking data directly into the CRM along with their contact info.
Oh, wow. That is brilliant. So the moment the sales rep opens up the new lead in Salesforce, they don't just see a name and an email.
Cool.
They see exactly which LinkedIn campaign from 3 weeks ago originally brought this person into the ecosystem.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this CRM integration is truly the holy grail of marketing measurement. Because now, the sales team takes over. They work the lead. Maybe it takes 3 months of phone calls and proposals, but eventually they close a $50,000 deal.
A huge win.
Massive. And because of that hidden field capturing the UTM data, the system can automatically trace that $50,000 in closed-won revenue all the way back to a specific digital marketing campaign.
It takes away all the ambiguity. You aren't just saying our LinkedIn strategy is generating a lot of engagement.
No, you are saying this specific LinkedIn campaign cost us $5,000 to run. It generated 40 qualified leads. Those leads resulted in 10 booked calls, and those calls ultimately closed $50,000 in new revenue.
And when you can walk into a leadership meeting and look the finance person in the eye with that exact sentence, nobody is ever asking you if your work is valuable again.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Instead, they are asking you how much more budget you need to scale those exact strategies.
Yeah.
Because you have transformed marketing from a perceived cost center into a proven revenue generator.
That is the dream scenario right there. So we've covered a tremendous amount of ground today, and I want to bring it all together for you.
Yeah, let's recap.
If you are sitting there listening to this, trying to prove the value of your work to your boss, or maybe you are a business owner trying to figure out where to spend your own hard-earned marketing budget, the message is clear. The days of relying on engagement statistics are over.
Long over.
You need UTM tags to track the initial clicks. You need multi-touch attribution to map the long, messy journey and stop firing the chef. And you absolutely need to use hidden fields and CRM integration to prove the final revenue.
And as a final takeaway, I want to reiterate the metrics that actually matter moving forward. As you build these systems, you have to force yourself to look past the likes and views.
Ignore the vanity metrics.
Right. The data tells us to focus our attention on the hard numbers. The number of qualified leads generated, your actual conversion rates, your customer acquisition cost, and the pipeline revenue generated from these campaigns. Those are the numbers that define business survival.
So what does this all mean? Well, it means the era of the vibe-based marketing strategy is officially dead, replaced by a mandate for absolute trackable precision. But it does leave me with a final, lingering question for you to ponder on your own. If we successfully build these perfect tracking systems where every single digital interaction, every video, every post must definitively justify its existence through measurable revenue, how is that going to change the nature of the content we create?
That's a great question.
Will brands become so completely obsessed with trackable conversions that they stop taking risks on the weird, unmeasurable, purely creative, and deeply entertaining content that actually builds real brand love in the first place? Something to think about.